hunting them down in that fierce gun battle, and still they are combing through that building. And over the past hour or so, we've heard 4 or 5 loud bangs. Now, on police scanner traffic, we've heard that officers were warned that controlled detonations were taking place. We know that federal officials and police officials have been combing through that building, trying to look for additional explosives. They know that they found at least one device that was suspicious, and they apparently detonated that. Byron?
Matt, what about this third suspect we've been hearing about all day?
Well, we know that they're looking for him because they have basically shut down an entire neighborhood. Most of the city has been shut down, but they were really going door to door in a neighborhood about a mile directly behind me, so close to the IRC, that building right there that's still lit up. Again, SWAT teams barreling through, going door to door. They heard reports about a suspect hopping fences, so they immediately went there. There were helicopters in the sky trying to locate this person. Apparently, it is not the third suspect, but so many eyewitnesses there. That building housed or had about 600 employees at the time, and we saw hundreds of them being patted down and led out, escorted out by armed officers. Many of them had to be registered to make sure that none of the alleged attackers blended in with them. Some of them were still crying. They were so rattled by what they saw. But there were so many eyewitnesses there that people saw 3 gunmen. A lot of the stories seem very similar. People saw 3 gunmen leaving there in a dark SUV, possibly a black SUV. And that is apparently the SUV that officers managed to corner box in and, of course, neutralize those suspects inside. So the search for that third suspect is still very much ongoing, and it's one of the things that continues to rattle this community. Byron, this entire city was basically on lockdown for multiple hours today. Schools, government offices, businesses, people were not even allowed to talk on the phone. That's how much concern there was for people's safety here. And still, knowing that there may be a third gunman on the loose, somebody who is capable of perpetrating an attack that bloody, of a planned attack that bloody, is certainly a cause for concern here. Byron?
Matt Gutman reporting. Matt, thanks so much. This has been a difficult day, chilling 911 calls and swift reaction from police.
That someone had come in and started shooting, and they ran into an office, and she's hiding with some other people.
It's the text message no parent wants to receive. Terry Pettit's daughter was inside the Inland Regional Center in San Bernardino when witnesses say up to 3 gunmen in assault-style clothing entered the facility and opened fire.
Shooting at my work, people shot in the office waiting for cops.
But she's okay.
Pray for us.
The first reports of the deadly rampage coming in around 11 a.m.
Multiple shots that were fired. We're getting a suspect last seen wearing a black ski mask, all black clothing, carrying a shotgun.
Witnesses outside describing a barrage of bullets.
I was going home, and all of a sudden, boom! It was
rapid.
like right
boom,
here.
boom, 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 boom,
And then they
boom.
said they're on the loose.
Yeah,
and,
I was right behind the building, and I heard all the shots.
The gunman firing inside a large conference room where the Department of Public Health was holding a training session.
Unknown race male, all black clothing with a black mask. We do have victims down.
Worried families receiving text messages and phone calls from loved ones of the horror unfolding inside.
She just said that she was in a room. She locked herself up. There were shooters.
Olivia Navarro's daughter, Jamil, a case manager for special needs children, called her mother.
Have you been able to get a hold of your daughter?
Just the phone call and then the text.
Frank Montez, waiting anxiously for his niece. He tells my colleague Matt Gutman they spoke on the phone.
She said something about 3 shooters with machine guns.
So she was outside when it happened, on her break, you said?
Yeah.
And then what happened?
And they hit the floor, and then they ran inside to their manager's office and barricaded themselves.
You seem pretty nervous right now.
Yeah.
You're still pretty upset. But she's okay, right?
Yeah, she's okay,
safe.
but I just want to comfort her.
But still many desperately trying to make contact with their loved ones.
I haven't been able to contact my boyfriend. He's in there, him and his brother. If you see this, Brian, call me. Let me know that you and your brother are okay.
What was going on?
Juan Hernandez was staying at a hotel across the street. He came out when he heard the gunfire.
Just a bunch of shots, multiple shots going off like crazy, just one right after the other. And as I came out, then we had seen a black SUV flying down the street. What I saw looked like one guy was wearing military fatigue.
Within minutes, a massive law enforcement response. SWAT teams wearing body armor, closing in, rifles drawn.
Making entry through the back door east side.
Nurse Dorothy Vaughn filming as the operation unfolded.
They're all geared up. Rifles and everything.
We have several down in the conference, several down. We have 2 suspects, both dressed in black, and inside the business on the south side is what we're being told. I need some medical aid in here immediately.
They went into the active shooter protocols, the things that we train for. They immediately entered the building in search of the suspects.
Paul LaCroix's son was also inside.
He says that the alarms went off and they were all told to hunker down and hide and shelter in place.
He was among those evacuated as law enforcement began ushering people from the building with their hands in the air to make sure attackers weren't blending in with the crowd. Police patted each person down.
They patted us all down, checked our bags, checked our EID, checked our registration, and now we're in the parking lot.
And then, 45 minutes after that first call, this chilling police radio dispatch. The hunt now on for possibly 3 gunmen.
That suspect, possibly all 3 of them, fled in a black SUV.
Marcus Aguilera's wife works at the facility and got out safely.
She said the guy came in next to her office and I guess started shooting. They locked themselves in her office. They seen bodies on the floor.
A triage area set up in this intersection at a nearby golf course. The injured carried away on stretchers to nearby hospitals.
We did receive 5 adult patients, which stemmed from the original incident in San Bernardino. Of those 5 patients, 2 are critical but stable, 2 are fair, and 1 is still being assessed. And all 5 do remain in the hospital.
During the siege, at least 14 were killed, at least 17 injured. SWAT teams still inside the huge building complex, going room to room, looking for victims and any explosives that attackers might have left behind.
That device they found, they do have it, and they're taking it out of the building now.
Unclear at this point whether it was an explosive.
Preliminary information indicates that these are people that came prepared, that they were dressed and equipped in a way to indicate that they were prepared, and they were armed with long guns, not handguns.
Also unclear the motivation behind the deadly attack.
I know one of your questions is going to be, is this a terrorist incident? I will tell you right now, we do not know.
While the events unfolded, President Obama spoke strongly on gun control.
The one thing we do know is that we have a pattern now of mass shootings in this country that has no parallel anywhere else in the world. And there's some steps we could take, not to eliminate every one of these mass shootings, but to improve the odds that they don't happen as frequently. Common sense gun safety laws, stronger background checks.
Tonight, 14 people have been confirmed dead and at least 17 others are being treated for their injuries at local hospitals.
I don't know any individual who couldn't be shaken up by this. We hear of these mass shootings all over the country, and I think you all could agree that this just hit a little bit too close to home. It is home. So we're all shaken by this. We're all bothered by it.
It would take authorities 3 hours to track the suspects in that black SUV, with bullets raining down. Coming up, more on the shooting rampage, the dramatic standoff between the suspects and police. We're back with a special edition of Nightline, the deadly California shooting rampage, and a violent standoff between the police and the alleged suspects. Around 3 p.m. this afternoon, a massive manhunt for up to 3 armed gunmen in California came to a head.
We are in pursuit of the suspect vehicle. We got shots fired out the back window.
Our affiliate, KABC, on the scene, hovering above this black SUV that the authorities have been searching for 3 hours.
We got multiple officers here. We got officers running here, back eastbound, chasing, now on foot. Look at all those units here. This is where a suspect is at.
Multiple shots that were fired.
Windows blown out, that front door ajar, and police crouching at a safe distance away. But this was the shootout that our cameras missed, that neighbor Musa Malalan captured on his phone. What sounds like fireworks is a firefight. Police raining bullets on that SUV.
The left side, driver's side, completely blown out. This was a very, very graphic shootout.
A body lying in the street feet away. That black SUV riddled with bullets. 1 suspect still inside. As police run into position, single file up across the lawn.
You can see tactical teams moving up the sidewalk, looking for positions of advantage right now.
The police are going to run in single file because it makes you less of a target.
More officers using concealment and cover behind this post, behind this hedge line.
5 minutes later, 2 armored vehicles approach the SUV from both sides.
You basically box a person in. So with a car in the front, a car in the back, and many times one on the side, there's no place for the car to go.
Followed by a vehicle called a Tac Cat, armed with a ballistic shield.
The whole point of armored vehicles in a law enforcement setting is exactly how they use this particular event, where you take the vehicles and you use them as cover to protect you from obviously other firearms or potentially other explosives. And so by using the vehicles, they've given themselves a couple of things: cover, concealment, and also it allows them to sort of take their time.
Officers cautiously approaching, but it appears the suspect inside is already dead. 2 suspects dead at the scene. 1 male, 1 female, both armed with assault rifles and handguns, and dressed in what police describe as dark tactical gear.
They were dressed in kind of assault-style clothing. I think is probably the best way to term it.
But all afternoon, authorities have been looking for up to 3 suspects. 1 person of interest was seen fleeing the scene.
I don't have any information on who that person is yet, and we certainly do not know if they were involved. It's possible that they were not.
Police have detained a 3rd suspect in a nearby neighborhood after receiving reports of someone jumping a fence.